Right to the latest on the coronavirus outbreak. Starting tomorrow at 5 p.m., a ban on any gatherings of 500 people or more.
Major League Baseball announcing it is delaying the start of its season.
Several other cultural institutions are also shutting their doors.
By one count, over 1 million have now been infected by coronavirus worldwide since the start of this outbreak. Tens of thousands have died.
We were struck with a pandemic that most of us in our lives have never experienced, and God willing, will never experience again.
The building trades workers, there's a little bit of civic pride, there's a little bit of patriotism, and there's a lot of heroism. So they love to rise to these occasions. They love to step up in crises. We saw that on 9/11, we saw that after Superstorm Sandy, and we saw it again during the COVID pandemic.
It was really hard for all of us. Many of us lost co-workers, loved ones, and family members, and we pushed through it with the tenacity that only New York City can.
We reacted the same way that we did on the 9/11 attacks. When most people were running away from the site, it was the building trade workers and the BTA contractors that were running to the site. So when COVID-19 came together, there's a long-standing history and tradition of the BTA contractors working with the Building and Construction Trades Council through Gary LaBarber's office to begin to address these procedures that were going to keep us working and keep this city's economy humming.
The Building Trades Council and its members are no strangers to crisis. In March of 2020, this invisible enemy, known as COVID-19, struck New York City, along with the rest of the world. As an industry, we came together, the real estate community, the contracting community, and the building trades unions, to establish protocols which included wearing of face masks, social distancing where possible, hand sanitizing, hand wash stations, disinfecting common areas on job sites, all in an effort to make sure that our members would remain healthy and not become infected with this virus. And not only for them, but for their families as well.
Having been right in the thick of it with the tradespeople, I remember walking into work every day, and especially at the start of the pandemic, and seeing the fears in the eyes of the craft trade, the men and women, and not really knowing what we were dealing with, but we knew, we were challenged by the governor of New York to essential projects keep going, keep the economy going, and the industry, the tradesmen and women pulled together. We pushed through it. We had our good days and our bad days, but the courage was nothing short of amazing to me.
We have turnstiles for security to get in and out of that site, and somebody was there wiping them down every time somebody went through. If somebody was exposed, it was who were they near? Who had to stay home for 10 days? Well, I feel fine, but you may still have it. So there was a lot of learning curves through this whole process.
Building trades workers are not shy. They like to socialize. They like to work in teams. They like to communicate. It's part of the esprit de corps. It's part of the culture of the job. But we convince people, look, you're going to have to isolate in smaller teams. You're going to have to make sure that entry to a job site, exiting a job site, you're not all crowded together. You're going to have to not share tools. You're going to have to wear all the PPE and be really attentive to the need to be masked. And people generally, it's not perfect, but people generally complied. And the result was we were able to sustain progress on the MTA Capital Program, on all that important work, without having a huge spike in construction workers getting sick.
The essential projects throughout New York City were many. These were major infrastructure projects. These were transportation hubs. These were projects that were critical to the economic health of New York City. And most significantly, the projects that we worked on were projects where patients were going to, sick people were going to, and that is our hospital system, and that is building out infrastructure to support the tragic needs of so many communities.
Even though you're concerned about what you're going to do, what you're going to bring home. You heard of stories of our friends. We done lost friends and family members, co-workers, because the stuff was brought home. But we knew there was a bigger mission ahead. And the only way to get through this is of us working together and stepping up.
Our union trade workers were on the front line. They were part of the Marine Corps going in and building out what we needed in our time of need. They were essential workers, they were by our side, and I want to thank Gary and the entire BCTC organization for partnering with us and finding ways to do what needed to be done. We tripled our ICU capacity, we quadrupled the number of beds that were available, and we never broke.
We cheered the hospital workers, and they deserve every appreciation that they get. But there were some other folks who were essential too, and who were courageous and who contributed. And for me, that group definitely includes the unionized building trades workers of New York.
In our darkest times, like 9/11, Hurricane Sandy, and now 2 years into the coronavirus, the one word that best describes building trades is resiliency.
It is the union construction industry that is going to lead this city back. It's going to lead this city's rebuilding of our middle class and our economy. It's us.
The uncertainty of going to work and not knowing, am I going to get sick? Am I going to bring this virus home and this infection home to my wife, to my children, to my parents, to my brother, to my sister, to any of my loved ones, which could result in their death? But they took on that challenge. They rose to that occasion and they went to work. That was essential. We, as members of this industry, should always remember that this courage, fortitude, and commitment is something that we must respect and revere. I've never been prouder of the members of the Building Trades Council for what they did during that time.